Welcome to Talking Clean, the podcast where we will break down clean energy and healthy living into simple, everyday habits that can save you money and protect our community. I'm your host, Dr. Mary House, and I want to share with you why this is so important to me. Being raised in a poor neighborhood in Detroit, where resources and information about creating a healthier and cleaner place to live, it was not a conversation. We were just concentrating on surviving, just like some of you. So as I became an adult, my curiosity began to explore the many concerns of why things weren't like they should be. So in this journey, I began to find out what was not happening in underserved communities of color all across America as it pertains to this topic. And I discovered we just weren't exposed to nor given the resources and information needed to create a healthier and cleaner home. Now, fast forward, I knew I had to be a voice crying in the wilderness for people who looked like me. And out of this cry, this podcast was birthed. And together, we're going to explore practical tips, local resources, and inspiring stories that empower our families and communities to live cleaner, greener, and healthier lives. So whether you're looking to cut down your utility bills or make a difference in your neighborhood, you are in the right place. Well, we want to welcome you here. We have Cherie Matanona here from the Workforce Connection, and she is the Strategic Initiatives Manager. And I am so excited to have you here today. It just means everything to me because the Workforce Connection is such an intricate part of making sure people can get jobs, especially in the economy that we're in. So what I like to do is ask you a few questions. What's the mission and the purpose that connects workers, employers, training programs, and community partners that focus on just getting good jobs and keeping them?
Yeah, so thank you for having me, first of all. So at Workforce Connections, our mission is to connect employers to a ready workforce. Mm-hmm. So everything that we do, whether it's on the participant side or whether it's in my role where I primarily work with employers, we're making sure that those things are aligned. So if job seekers are looking to reskill or upskill, we're connecting them with the programs and the resources to do that. And on the employer side, we're making sure that they're supported to upskill their workers, making sure that the training programs exist, whether that's K through 12, a CTE program in high school, post-secondary vocational training, that it's up to the standards and they have a say and are advisors to that curriculum so that way when people take those courses, they're ready to work and everybody's aligned. So sometimes that means, getting multiple partners in the room, some of our other state agencies. We work together with social services, Owen, Goen, the full spectrum, and make sure that everybody's on the same page, break down those silos, and just kind of brings the support all together.
You know what, Cherie? That's why Workforce Connection is so important. And I just want to make sure that the Nevadans have access to clean energy jobs. And so now as we shift, I want to say to one of the biggest sources of new opportunities in our state is the clean energy workforce. First, I want to explain to you all what clean energy really means. Clean energy coming from natural sources. It's like the wind, the sun, the water that really don't pollute our air or harm our environment. And that is so important. And we want to make sure that we're addressing those things as we talk with each of our guests, and every time I have a guest, I'm going to bring you some more information on what clean energy means to us as a community. See, through the federal clean energy investments, Nevada has already attracted over $14 billion in new clean energy investments that are transforming our state's economy. And companies have been announcing that there's over 20,000 new jobs that have been made from this. So these projects are good paying jobs. They are often union jobs, and union jobs, come with great benefits. But many companies are also investing in the workforce training and skill development that are also helping Nevadans advance in manufacturing, solar, battery technology, and more. And what I want to say is, what types of clean energy or sustainable, relatable jobs are emerging here in Southern Nevada?
So it's interesting to see, when we talk about clean energy jobs, it's kind of like if we were to say, I want to work in healthcare.
Right.
Healthcare isn't a job. You're going to be a nurse. You're going to be a radiologist. You're going to be these things that are very like niche parts. And so when we talk about clean energy jobs, we're talking about electricians. We're talking about HVAC. We're talking about process engineers. And even sometimes we're going all the way down the line and we're talking about logistics. So if you have a battery factory, if you have a mining operation that's going to create a product to help support clean energy, you have to have that 3PL. You have to have all of those other pieces. So what's different about clean energy jobs is that some of them are jobs that have already existed and now there's new technology components that need to be trained on. And in other areas of clean energy, there are new little niche careers that are popping up out of the new technology. So for instance, in the EV space, the electric vehicles, if you're talking about lithium, you could potentially have some new technologies that are coming out of brine extraction.
Yes.
So where traditionally we were mining like spodumene or hard rock, they're now able to access brine, but we have to have processing for that. And those technologies and those like engineering pieces, those are the new spaces that we're starting to see emerge. So everybody's sort of learning together, and it's a really good opportunity.
And you know what I think, when I think clean energy jobs too, when you talk a niche, when we have these charging stations.
Yeah.
So you need people who are going to service the charging stations for the
Technicians,
elections.
yeah.
That's technical. We have people who are getting solar. As a matter of fact, I just completed solar on my home. I'm super excited. I cannot wait. Anyhow, to see that new energy bill next year this time. However, there's maintenance for, cleaning the panels because they have to be cleaned. And so and then we got heat pumps. People are now converting from, hot water heaters to heat pumps. And the technology has advanced. So now even educating contractors, the plumbers who are like, the heat pumps, I had a plumber say, heat pumps, they're no good. And I was like, have you looked at the new technology of what heat pumps do, and they're energy efficient and they're safer. So these are jobs that are available that are really right here.
Yeah.
And somebody's got to do them, but people need to also be trained and educated on it. So I'm super excited again that the Workforce Connection is so open to things like that. So you talked about it a little bit in the mission, but how is the Workforce Connection partnering with schools and colleges and employers to create career paths in these various areas?
So one of the biggest things is like just visibility, bringing that awareness. Not a lot of people understand what environmental work might be. They might not understand what clean energy is. They don't understand what modern advanced manufacturing looks like. And so when you're a child and you're talking to your parents about what you want to be when you grow up, we still sort of have that antiquated language of the big three, right? Like doctor, lawyer, teacher. And so our biggest effort has to be in visibility, making sure that employers are going to schools and talking to the students about what careers are out there and what that means, how they ended up in the career. Talking to the parents so that way the parents can understand what sort of jobs are available, because, oftentimes we'll hear students say, maybe I want to go work in construction. The parents are like, no, it's dirty, it's rough, it's hard labor. But the reality is that construction jobs, much like manufacturing jobs, much like where we see in this engineering space, they're not white collar all the way. There's still labor, but it's shifted. We're in a technology boom, and so a lot of those ideas that we have of what those careers used to look like, they're totally different now.
Yes.
So, our role really is to make sure that those employers have access to the visibility within the community, whether that's students or, just family members of those students. Also making sure that the curriculum that's being taught in those spaces is up to those standards, is the actual skills that they need.
Yes.
And also just making sure that that talent pipeline, those students, those future candidates have a handshake. If employers get to know their future workforce while they're in school and they're with them working on the curriculum together, they're training on a specific piece of equipment that only that manufacturer uses or technology, they get to know each other. And once you have that familiarity, that pipeline access to your future job is much more wider than if you were to go to school and go, okay, well, now I have to go find an employer. So shaking those hands, being present with their community and their future workforce is one of the key points for us to convene all of our partners, including employers.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that it just triggered to me, because I used to do employment and training, is with this advancement or the new structure with technology, especially in construction, we have so many young people who may never go to college. So they're going to go to a technical school, or they need on-the-job training. And so do you guys have the access to the construction or the union jobs that would take a teenager, high school person, and do on-the-job training where they still get paid, but they're getting trained for that because it's about not a degree, it's about the experience?
Sure. So it's important that we are partners with all of those options, right? All of those employers.
Yes.
I've worked with the Nevada Contractors Association for years. I've worked with the Department of Labor for the apprenticeship programs. We talk to the unions regularly. So yes, I mean, it's making sure that regardless of what you want your future to be, that you have access to it. And as a system, as a partner system right now, there are so many different organizations, ours included, that are working on breaking down the barriers that previously existed. So apprenticeships is a hot topic right now, and that's one of the ways that folks get on-the-job training. They might also get some vocational training or classroom training. But if we can help provide intermediaries, if we can help create these programs with employers, that was one of the biggest barriers to on-the-job training and apprenticeship work before. So now when we're looking at new opportunities that exist in our current world with apprenticeships specifically, we're making sure that when we're building the foundation for that, we're taking the employer's capacity to build these pipelines in mind and making sure that we're providing help there. So, and yeah, in every space, we're working at how we look at where the barriers traditionally are and how we can work to start bring them down.
Yeah, because I will say from personal experience, my husband background is construction, and his father used to have a cement company, and so he had four brothers and 5 boys all together. Anyhow, I don't know what he was doing. But each of his sons learned how to pour cement and know how to trowel it right. So they had a skill set no matter what. I was talking to my brother-in-law earlier, and he was saying, I'm so thankful to my dad. I used to think it was hard work. We were carrying them cement bags. Back then, they don't have what they have today with the equipment. But he learned something, and he learned techniques of how to, put designs into stuff on concrete that he has forever. And so when we take in our communities of color, we have our boys and our young women need just someone to believe in them.
Absolutely.
And so with the Workforce Connection and the apprenticeship programs, is the person and the people involved have to make sure that they also have a heart and they see beyond all of this, what the kids personify, but behind that personification of this roughness is a child who really, I don't know, I know I won't ever go to college, but I'm good with my hands, or I'm a good thinker, and so I need this technology, I need an opportunity, I need an apprenticeship program that you guys offer. So what I want to ask you is, the underserved communities that we are addressing, and we're addressing this because I understand it's hard right now, and there's not a lot of opportunities, or we're being looked over. Not everybody succeeds, and so then there's this stigma of a young black guy, and I don't want to hire him. He might have some tattoos, but so what? That doesn't have nothing to do with his ability. And so, can you speak to what resources? I want you to look in the camera and tell them what resources and how do they get connected to the Workforce Connection for some apprenticeship programs that they could qualify for.
Sure. So, depending on your, disposition, there are programs that are meant to support various different life conditions, right? You may be unhoused, you may be justice involved, you may be underemployed or not employed. There's a lot of different variations, and there are programs that exist to help support you no matter where you are in life, right? So number one thing that I want people to know is don't look at your situation and think my situation is the reason I can't. It doesn't matter where you're at.
I like that.
There's a way, and somebody will hold your hand and help you get through it, right? So for us, that looks like our employee and B hubs. We have various hubs in the city halls across the valleys, the libraries, but also with these hubs, there's other organizations there. There might be a social services representative. If you're looking for help with childcare, if you're looking for help, maybe you've got all of everything else in line, but you can't afford boots so you can show up to work. There's resources out there to help you afford that, to get you transportation vouchers so that way you can get to work. These resources exist across the valley, and so I would encourage everybody that if you feel like that's a barrier, just tell somebody what you think are those barriers, and there's going to be an ambassador who can say, we can get you through it. So so the employee NV hubs, various schools. So if you go to a CSN, typically the schools have resources like that. Sometimes we're in their offices helping them out, and as a community, we all try to have different the different pieces of those roles all sit together, and so that way we can accommodate whatever barriers people might have.
Great. Well, you know what? I want to thank you guys for joining this podcast, and we're going to do another one with Cherie, because I just think it's so much information when it comes to the workforce, and knowing that there are jobs out there, there's training out there, there's supportive services out there, and I love it that she said, guess what? What if you are struggling and you're saying, I've got now trained, however, I need some workbooks or boots, or I need some tools. Someone is there. There's an ambassador waiting for you to just speak up. Just speak up. There's a saying that you have not because you ask not. And so if you ask, you'll receive. But you have to also first believe in yourself. And so with that being said, I want to give you a call to action. We've got Cherie here. I want you to reach out to the Workforce Connection to hear about what clean energy jobs and what things they have. I want you to reach out to CSN. Go to the library and ask them, do they have a Workforce Connection hub there? Go to your city hall and find out, do they have a Workforce Connection hub there? And find out more. Don't make it an excuse that there's nothing near me. Even those are in North Las Vegas and on the West Side, they're opening up the West Side Library next, and it's open. Because when you receive this, it's going to be open. And go there and find out what's there that can help you. And so I want you to subscribe to my channel. I want you to tell a friend. And I want you to re-listen to this podcast until you believe back in yourself. So thank you for listening to Talking Clean with Dr. Mary House. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Talking Clean with Dr. Mary House. Remember, every small step towards cleaner living adds up to a big difference for your home, your wallet, and our community. So if you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe, share this episode with a friend, and connect with us online for more clean energy resources. Just remember to think green and keep talking clean.